Hi everyone, welcome to my new video that looks at how to write opinion essays with a strong opinion or in a stronger way. In the previous video we looked at how to write opinion essays by contrasting one side with the other, looking at the first argument and then looking at the second and agreeing with the second argument. In this case I want to show you how to write with just one argument in mind, looking at only one side of something. Now, normally I recommend looking at both sides. For me, it's easier to write, it's easier to think of ideas. But sometimes topics do come up that I feel that I know a lot about this topic and I have a very strong opinion on it. I have lots of ideas, so I think it's best to just write from one side. And this video will show you how to write when you have that situation, when you know a lot about a topic and you just want to look at one side of it. Now, to make this video, I had to think, what issue do I know a lot about? What issue am I passionate about? What issue do I want to just look at one side of? And I thought, the topic we did a few months ago in class, which was gun control. Now, gun control probably won't be in your IELTS test. In fact, it won't be. It's too specific and maybe too controversial as well. But it doesn't really matter what the topic is. Structure is what we're looking at. So let's look at a more interesting topic, gun control in America, in this video and learn a few things about how to present one side of an argument for a complete essay. Let's look now at our question for today. In light of another mass shooting in the United States, many people are calling for tighter gun control. Do you agree with their point of view? Let's look at how I answered this question, and specifically now, we'll look at how to write the introduction for this question. Let's look now at what we've got in this question. Do we have a fact, do we have an argument, or do we have both? Well, it's only one sentence, but I would argue that we do have both. Look at the first part of the sentence. In light of another mass shooting in the United States. So there's a mass shooting in the United States, that's a fact. Many people are calling for tighter gun control. People calling for gun control is an argument. So, in this essay question, I've got a fact and an argument. So, my introduction needs to reflect this. Here's me paraphrasing the fact. Once again, a heavily armed gunman has shot and killed a large number of people in the United States. Now to paraphrase the argument. As a result, it has been argued that laws should be put in place that make owning and purchasing guns more difficult. Now it's time to give my opinion. Now I don't have to contrast one side with another. I don't have to say, although on this side there is this argument, but I believe the other side. No, in this case I can just say I strongly agree or I strongly disagree, or I agree or I disagree. In this case I've said I strongly agree with this point of view. That's all I need to say if I'm writing a strong opinion. I don't need to say something fancy like this essay will have a reasoned opinion and I will then discuss all these fancy things. No, just say I strongly agree or I disagree with this point of view. That's all you need to write. Before we write our essay, we now have to make a plan, as always, like we do for every other essay. So, what are 4 reasons why gun control should be stronger in the United States? Think about that for a minute. I'll think about it too, even though I did a long time ago, and I'll show you what my plan is. You probably found it difficult to think of 4 reasons, I would imagine. You probably thought of maybe 2 or 3, but 4 is very difficult. That's why I usually look at both sides of an argument. It's easier to look at one side of an argument than the other. It's harder to think of lots of reasons to support one side. But in this case, I know a bit about this topic. I know what I'm talking about, so I can think of 4 reasons. Let's look at my 4 reasons now. My first point is actually a counter-argument against gun right activists. The fact is, mental health is not the problem. That's my first point. My second point is that guns are absolutely everywhere in the United States, and that creates problems. My body 2 points will be: weapons are not necessary, especially high-powered ones. And my second point for this body paragraph will be that it's unfair to police. Let's look now at my body paragraph 1. Remember, we start off with a topic sentence. Doesn't matter what kind of essay you're writing. Always start your body paragraph with a topic sentence. Let's have a look at mine. Ease of access to guns is a key reason why restrictive legislation needs to be passed in America. Notice I said ease of access to guns is the reason. This means all of my body paragraph has to relate to ease of access to guns. If I am specific in my topic sentence, my whole paragraph has to match the topic sentence. So both of these points must be related to ease of access. Here's my first point. Gun rights activists believe that mental health is the issue rather than guns. However, mental illness is not unique to America, but mass shootings are. Therefore, logically, it must be assumed that affordable and legal access to guns, which is largely unique to America, is the true cause of the problem. Notice I said legal access to guns is the true cause. That relates to ease of access. Now, my second point is, furthermore, this ubiquity of guns in America has led to many instances of children finding their parents' guns. That word ubiquity means they're everywhere. Now, it's a fancy word. I don't recommend that you use fancy words unless you're really sure they're perfect. But in this case, I was really sure it was perfect, okay? So, there's my first point. Now I expand on it. Thus, it is not surprising that hundreds of young people are killed, both in accidents and school shootings. This is all true. I'm not making this up. Okay, let's look now at the body 2 paragraph. It's going to be exactly the same sort of thing, just repeating the same theme, but with new arguments. Here's my topic sentence. There are many other reasons why guns should be more tightly controlled in the United States. Notice in this case I said other reasons. Now I have more flexibility. I don't have to talk just about ease of access. I can talk about literally any reason. So here we go. Here's my first reason why they should be more tightly controlled. Weapons, especially semi-automatic, automatic, and high-powered rifles, are not necessary for hunting or sport. Expansion on that point. Therefore, gun legislation should ensure that only Special Forces police units or the Army have access to these weapons. Do we need a machine gun to kill a deer? I don't think so, so that's my point there. Now, follow-up point. Furthermore, a heavily armed population is unfair on police. What do I mean by this? I will expand now with an if sentence. If laws were passed that effectively reduced the number of guns on streets, people would have less stress, which would likely result in lower rates of people being shot by police. Now I've presented my 4 arguments in a very strong way, all on one side. So my conclusion will be very, very simple as well. It will just summarize that there are arguments for one side. And then I will say we need to have stronger gun control legislation in America. Hopefully I said that. Let's have a look at what I said. In conclusion, it is clear that guns have affected American society negatively, and I strongly believe that government must take action to deal with this problem by enacting strict gun control legislation. In other words, I agree with people who think that gun control needs to be stronger in America. Notice, I am not saying although this side, I believe that side. I'm just saying, in conclusion, boom, we need to have stronger gun laws. Okay, now you know how to write opinion essays with a strong point of view. I recommend usually that you use a balanced point of view, that you look at one side then the other. I almost always do this. but only in this case if I know what I'm talking about and I have a very strong opinion. Yeah, it's okay to look at just one side. Now, you guys are now ready to do opinion essays, but I haven't taught you how to do opinion and discussion essays, 2-question essays, or discussion essays. They're on my website, so go have a look at those. Subscribe to the channel, that would be nice. It helps me with climbing YouTube. And I've got the Facebook page running. I update that every day, so join that as well. It's all in the links there. And I'll see you hopefully in the next video I make.